Hi, welcome to this haul of my own things.
Intro?
I keep 99% of my books at my parents' place. Well, my dad likes to show affection by buying me books, sometimes without even checking what the book is about. I have this one book called You're a Miracle, which was a great sentiment, but it is also a religious self-help manual or something, so I'm not going to read it, but I keep it because I got it as a gift. So I have a ton of books, and I think I've read at most half of them. Part of the problem is that a lot of my books are in Polish, and not translated all that well. I'll close the window. Sorry for the sounds before. Not translated all too well, so that kind of bothers me, and never mind, stopping with excuses. I keep some of them in my home arranged beautifully on my bookshelf in a rainbow because I won't say a photographic memory because that's a bold claim, but it is very easy to remember for me a placement of a thing based on its color, shape, and size. So that's most efficient for me. And from time to time, whenever somebody, meaning my dad, drives me to their place for the weekend, for example, I switch the books around. I don't read all of them all the time, to be honest, because I don't really have the time, but it's good to have the books on hand that you have a bigger chance of reading. So without further ado, let me just tell y'all what I've got here. Well, I put this here because I thought it would look pretty in the thumbnail, so that's the Howl's Moving Castle. As I said, it's excellent. The second book that I have is Tove Jansson, A Sculptor's Daughter. It's a very short, so I'm going probably to read it, biography of the woman who invented Mummin Trolls. And Mummin Trolls is a book I am very fond of. I adore Mummin Trolls. I have no words for how much I love them. I don't have any merchandise of Mummin Trolls. I probably will get a tattoo just to fix that hole in my life. Also, Mummin Trolls proper, it's a book that was scheduled for mandatory reading 3 years in a row in my school. So I read it in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. We protested because enough is enough, and it was always a mistake. Anyhow, love Mummin Trolls. I got this when I was in high school as a gift from my Polish language and literature teacher, and I didn't read it before. I got it years ago, but I think if Tove Jansson was an LGBTQ person, I will read it in June because it will match the theme of Pride Month. If not, then I will probably also read it with June, but not put pressure on myself to get to it. I'll put it like that. By the way, I sometimes showcase this on Reddit, but look at my beautiful mug with my dog's parents. I love it. Speaking of, probably this next weekend, me and Kira will go to Gdańsk, which is by the sea, and where the breeder lives, to have like a meetup of people who have dogs from the same breeder, and I think it's going to be great. Like a barbecue type stuff. Anyhow, next book, I got this for Little Santa. So on 6th of December, it's Nicholas's name's day, and we get small gifts such as socks or mugs, candy, always candy. I think we get a little bit more in my family than it is average, because it is normal for me to expect to get a pair of socks, a mug, a book, and some candy, and usually it's like one of two things, sometimes just candy. So I got this. This is a collection of short stories, which is called An Evening in Paradise by Lucia Berlin. I think I was actually recommended this author once on Reddit by one kind lady, so I probably will get to reading it. She's an American writer, from what I see. I don't adore collection of stories in general. The last one I read was like Charles Bukowski, Prettiest Girl in the City, which was also I get a ton of books as gifts. So anyhow, I will probably read that. I don't know when. I'm not committed to reading it, but it's more likely than some other things that I moved back home, which I mentioned in my May book review linked here. So you can check out which books I took home. Next book is How to Fall in Love with Shopping Malls by Natalia Fiedorczuk. I borrowed it from my mom. Well, this isn't translated to Polish, though it's American. This is Polish in Polish, and it is a very, from what I know, a very, very honest, keep your back straight, unclench your jaw and release tension from your shoulders. That's like for me to you, take care of yourself. This book is a very honest description of early motherhood in Poland, so with our sociological context, and from what I know, it's a very good book. So if I feel like being depressed, I'll read this, because by being honest, I think it's unsugar-coated, and while I'm sure it will mention some good things, I'm expecting it to be more of a vent, partially because it is considered a good book in Poland, and in Poland we like heavy topics in film and in books to consider them good. Next, another gift. It is Final Harvest, Emily Dickinson's poems. I'm pretty certain that this is a collection curated by someone, not actually, by Thomas H. Johnson. The eminent Dickinson scholar is the editor of the complete poems of Emily Dickinson, the only one-volume edition containing all of her poetry. I remember the occasion where I got it. I must have been from an English teacher, now that I think about it. Might have been from a buddy at school, like from a person at school for like class Santa or some gift exchange or whatever. I don't remember. I remember the context. I might read some poems just to challenge myself, because I dislike poetry for the most part, apart from Świtezianka by Mickiewicz and Blades of Grass, specifically Body Electric by Walt Whitman. I should buy Blades of Grass. It's good to have the only poetry book that I like at hand, but I don't. Oh, by the way, look at this coaster. It's very pretty. Next book is a gift for my mother from me. I bought her this for Christmas because I knew it's going to be something that she liked, based on research, not having read it. And she said that this is a very good book, which I knew it would be. So now she lent it to me, and I'm going to read it probably soon, because I am excited. I really want to read it. This is a book about either suburbs or small town, and where two mothers from different cultural backgrounds have very differing views on what is proper and improper, and kinda butt heads. That's what I know. I'm not going to read the summary because, have not read it yet. Next book is Unbearable Lightness of Being, or Nieznośna lekkość bytu, or Nesnesitelna lekkość bycia by Milan Kundera. I knew that this book used to have a dust jacket. I must have lost it or thrown it away. I've had it for years at this point. Never read it because though it is called Unbearable Lightness of Being, I have a feeling that the book is not going to be a very light read. It's going to be mentally taxing to read it. I have no idea what it's about, which I should know. I think that's a bit of a shame on me that I don't know what it is about, because it's a classic, but I feel that right now there's a higher chance I'm going to read it if it's on hand. This is a gift from my father to my mother. It is called Mothers, Matki, by Brit Bennett. I absolutely love the cover, and that's honestly something that drew me to this book. I don't really know anything about the plot. I remember that last year, or at the beginning of this year, without even knowing what this book is about, I know this cover very well. I always look at it when I see it on my mother's shelves. So I saw that there was another book which conceptually I feel was a knockoff of this cover. I will put it right here. And I was slightly, I don't know if bummed or I guess they appreciate it. And it's distant enough not to be considered a knockoff, but then I learned that it is a cover of a different book by the same author, which made me think, oh, it's actually just an excellent consistency among different books by the same author. I really love both covers, so that's why I'm going to read this. I know that Vanishing Half, which is the second book by Brit Bennett, is very interesting. I'm reading this. I don't have that. Never mind. This is something that I started. I had it with me, both this and how to like shopping malls, centers. I had with me in the place where I was staying in this winter cottage. There, I have some vlogs from there. I will link one up here. And this is a sci-fi fantasy, which is written in interesting perspective because there is a first person and I think second person. It's very well written, but it's pretty taxing, challenging to read. Just it requires a bit of mental effort to keep up with things, like world building, I guess. So if I have enough energy, I'm going to read this. And for last, I have already read it years ago when I was a kid, because this is a middle grade book, which is called City of Books. Yes, City of Dreaming Books by Walter Mowers. It's actually a German book, and it is very, very beautiful. It has a dust jacket, dust cover, but underneath it looks the same. I love it when all the effort doesn't go into the dust jacket cover. I don't know which one it is, and I don't feel like checking. The actual hardcover is as beautiful as the dust jacket, or looks the same. I like that. Also, it has a beautiful interior. It has inside a bookmark and several like pages like this. It's just a very, very beautiful book, beautifully illustrated. I'm just going to gush on the way that it was printed, okay? So it is printed with beautiful illustrations, and it has a wonderful paper. It's not shiny at all. It kind of feels like reading those no light ebooks, because it doesn't really reflect any light at all, which is better for your eyes. I'm gushing on how a book reminds me of an ebook, but never mind, you get me, I'm sure. Anyhow, I really, really, really love it. The way that, also if you open it, it flops like so, which is usually a problem with hardcover books that I used to sell books, can you tell? If you get a hardcover, they don't lie flat usually. You have to break the spine, which none of us book lovers like doing. And here you don't have to. It's just very, very well put together. The book tells a story about a city of dreaming books, and the creatures within it are mostly reptiles, mostly dinosaur-like creatures. This reminds me of, I already talked about all of that on a stream of mine, but it reminds me of Carlos Ruiz Zafón's Shadow of the Wind. It's also a book about, this is straight up fantasy, and Shadow of the Wind is like a magical realism, kind of, but still I feel there is something that books about books have in common, usually. There is just some type of, I don't know, sentiment, the portrayal of libraries and bookstores as mazes, seeing books as some sort of separate entities and giving them a little bit of a sentience inside, kind of like magically, like the magical realism touch, I guess. There is also a short story about, I think it was written by Borges, I'll put the name on here, about, I think, a minotaur or something living in a maze of books as well. Or maybe it's not in a maze of books, but that's like a trifecta of books about books, of texts about books that kind of are linked in my mind. And having said that, I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you all for joining me. Feel free to check out my other videos. And the next video I'm going to put up, it's upcoming this week, if everything works out fine, is going to be a discussion of season 3 of Rick and Morty, and I will go back and talk about season 2 a little bit too, because I had some more thoughts about it. Anyhow, thank you and bye bye.